Hi everybody, Miss P here. Today is Monday, April 13th, and today is National Thomas Jefferson Day. So I thought we'd read our article about National Thomas Jefferson Day from nationaldaycalendar.com. And I wanted to throw in some personal things because I am interested in Thomas Jefferson and American history, and I've actually been to his house in Virginia. It's called Monticello. So I have some things. This is a scale model of his house in Virginia. I can check it out. It's very beautiful. He designed it himself. In addition to being a lawyer and an author, and we know him as the author of one of the main authors of the Declaration of Independence, our third president of the United States, but he was also an architect. So here's what his house looked like. Now, one way that we can celebrate Thomas Jefferson Day is to look around our house for a nickel, because he was so important to our American history. He made his way onto the nickel, which is worth 5 cents. So here's one of the new prints of the nickel from 2015, I think. So here we go. You can see his face. There we go. His face on the nickel. And then on the back of it, we can see a print of his house, Monticello. So look around your house today and see if you can find a nickel. So to help us celebrate, I'm going to share my screen and we'll read the article for National Thomas Jefferson Day. All right, so let's jump in. Okay, here we go. We are at nationaldaycalendar.com to read our article for the day. National Thomas Jefferson Day. National Thomas Jefferson Day each year on April 13th honors the birth of the third President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, who was born April 13, 1743. It's almost 300 years ago. Most known as the primary author of the Declaration of Independence, Jefferson was a stalwart of democracy, which means that he worked very hard in order to promote or to help democracy. While not much of an orator, his pen cut quite a swath of ink through correspondence, documents, journals, and manuscripts. That just means that he wasn't much of a public speaker. He didn't like addressing large audiences, but he did like writing. So he wrote books and articles and things to help spread his ideas. Back to the article. It says, those who write tend to read. Jefferson was no different. His vast library contained 6,500 volumes, meaning books. He had 6,500 books in his library. One of his famous quotes is actually, "I cannot live without books." So he was very much a big fan of reading. Back to the article. Jefferson was not only a lawyer, but he was also a scientist of agriculture, that means plants, paleontology, which is dinosaurs and fossils, and astronomy, which is our solar system. He was immensely curious, which means very curious. He kept detailed records of the weather and eventually established weather observers across his home state of Virginia. Jefferson served as minister to France, Secretary of State in President Washington's cabinet, and ran for president for the first time in 1796, only to be elected vice president to his opponent John Adams due to a flaw in the Constitution. So back then, back in early American history, the person that became vice president was actually the person that got second place in the election. So very different than the way we have elections today. It says 4 years later, the same fault in the document caused a tie within the same party between Aaron Burr and Thomas Jefferson, with Jefferson assuming the presidency. So one way that you can learn a little bit more about this time in American history is to listen to the Hamilton soundtrack. It's where I learned a lot of things about this time in American history. You can learn more about Thomas Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton, Aaron Burr, George Washington. So that's one way you can observe. Another way is to check out one of these 3 books that they've listed here in the article. One of them is Jefferson's autobiography, which means the book that he wrote about himself. The other 2 here are biographies, means that somebody different wrote the book about Thomas Jefferson. But what I would recommend actually here in the bottom of this article is a video. It's a little over 13 minutes. and it's a couple and their video footage from their trip to Monticello. So they really take some time to look at all of the things that are out on display there at Monticello. It's a museum now, so you can go and visit it and walk through. And in their gift shop is where I got my little model. So there's lots of ways we can watch other videos about Thomas Jefferson. We can even just try and find a nickel around our house to find the coin that has Thomas Jefferson's face and a picture of his house on it. Or we can just thank him for all the work that he did to help found America and our country as it is today. Ooh, I thought of a fun fact. So one thing about Thomas Jefferson that is, I think, funny is that he, in addition to loving books and loving America and loving planting and dinosaurs, he loved food. And he helped bring a lot of the foods that we eat today. He helped popularize a lot of the foods that we eat. So he loved ice cream. And there's actually, in the video, you can see his recipe for vanilla ice cream. He also loved French fries, and he loved macaroni and cheese. So I also like all those three things too. So if you, maybe you can also celebrate National Thomas Jefferson Day by having some macaroni and cheese or French fries or vanilla ice cream maybe. Okay, all right, that's it. I will see you guys next time for our next national holiday. Bye.